Lesson 50, quadratic equations, completing the square. Fortunately, you're all here today, and that is a good thing because these two lessons are going to be, I'm still talking, a lot of stuff that some of you have never seen before, never had before. So anyway, two lessons today that are going to be quite a bit of new stuff. Which I always like new stuff. You like new stuff, Tim? Always. As long as it's not too scary.
Only if it's free.
Yeah. New stuff, new cars, new clothes. Those kind of things are always kind of nice.
New clothes.
But new hats are always nice. But sometimes new foods are a little bit iffy, especially if they have the word worm in them.
If you don't know language, it's pronounced.
Yeah. So new food is not one of those directions I like to go. New math is also one of those difficult directions. So anyway, welcome to new math.
Thank you.
So a quadratic equation looks like this. And how do I know it's an equation?
It has an equal sign.
That's the only reason I know if it's an equation. Which means that when I solve this, I'm solving for what?
X.
All right, so let's take away my equals and my zero sign. And now what can I do with it?
Foil. Or where's the foil?
I can't FOIL anything.
Factor.
I can factor, but what am I going to get for an answer?
X plus 2.
I mean, that is my, thank you, Erica. I am not going to get an answer. You will not get an answer if there's not an equal sign. All you can do is simplify it, reduce it, that kind of thing. But you can't, yeah, you can change it, but you can't actually get an answer unless it's got an equal sign. It doesn't have to equal 0, but it has to have an equal sign. All right. If we have one unknown, do we have one unknown?
Yes.
And an exponent as a 2, the highest power of the variable, in this case the 2, it's called a quadratic equation. If it had a 3 up there, it would not be a quadratic equation. Only if we have a 2 up there. Okay, and that's what we're working with. We're looking at finding quadratic or the values of the x's in the quadratic equations. How many answers will we always get with a quadratic equation?
2.
At most 2. Sometimes it could be 1, but at most 2. All right. Sometimes we have a difficult situation in hand because we're trying to factor this in order to solve it for 0. And up until this point, we have made two binomials and tried to find two numbers multiplied together that give me a -2, added together give me a 4. So x squared plus 4x minus 2 equals 0. What numbers can I multiply together and give me -2, add and give me a positive 4?
0.
There are none, Adam says. Riley says there's 0 of them. So,
It'd be really hard to find.
is it because you're lazy that you can't find one, or is it because it
Yes.
doesn't exist?
Because it exists.
Okay, now be careful. Are you saying it doesn't exist, or are you saying that it's too hard to figure out using
Saying that
this
we
method?
don't.
Too hard to figure out.
Yeah,
So
too hard
it
to
doesn't
figure out.
exist.
Okay. So it doesn't exist in your little world up until today.
It doesn't have to exist if we don't want it to.
You could actually cancel the existence
Ignorance
of
is
this
bliss.
if you want.
Sometimes ignorance is bliss, but sometimes ignorance can kill you.
That's bliss.
You jump out of an airplane with a parachute, and you don't know that that little cord you pull opens your suit.
But you're happy on the way down.
Ignorance is not necessarily bliss.
Well, if
Ignorance
you just
goes splat.
aim your head down, ignorance is bliss because you'll go to heaven.
Oh, God.
Situation.
No.
So you just have to aim your head down to the ground.
All right, so we have a procedure that we're going to look at. Procedure makes it kind of sound like
Wait, why did you erase the first one?
Because it doesn't work.
Because it doesn't, well, so, two binomials, doesn't work. Two numbers multiplied together give you -4, added give you 3.
No, 6.
What are your possibilities?
Added give you
4 and
6.
1, 2 and 2, right?
You mean add?
None of those added together are going to give you 6. 4 times 1 is 4, but added give you 5. 2 times 2 is 4, added give you 4. So there is no simple way to factor that down. If you are smart, that will always be the first trick you try, because that's the easiest way to find out what x is. If that doesn't work, there's 2 more methods. I said earlier in the year when we do these, there will be 3 ways to factor these. One is the way you know, and the second one you're going to learn today, the third one you'll learn down the road in the next month or so. But this method that we're going to do here is called completing the square. Completing z square. Actually, it's the, but
Use that.
z is better than the. Okay. So, I'm really not in the mood, and I know you guys are not interested in the theory about why this works and how it works. I'm just going to teach you why to do it. You really want me to go into it? I'm ready.
We are interested.
Turn to page 218.
What kind of you already know?
Riley,
Actually, I don't like that.
Did you change your mind? Yeah, there's a whole theory behind it.
okay, let's just.
So I think that it would be in our best interest to skip that and just go into the whys or hows. Okay, so here we go. First step. Move. Constant to right of equal sign. And it will look like this. So I took my constant, my 4. Constant meaning it's not going to change no matter what I do to x. And it's going to move to the other side of the equal sign. Now I have a hole right here.
Oh, we're supposed to leave that hole in there?
Yeah, that hole needs to be there. Yeah, maybe I should have wrote and leave leave the z hole. Okay. Step number 2. Take half of second term square and put in z hole. Second term is what?
6x.
All right, 6x. Let's just say 6. I could have written take half of the second term's constant, but I didn't. But anyway,
What if,
you're just taking the number 6.
what if it's
Yeah, you
not
could.
a number that, like, what if it's like 5? 2.5?
Still works.
Okay.
We'll get to some 5s. So what is half of 6?
3.
Square it.
9.
It's always plus. It's always plus that. And I'm just going to put here and add. Okay. Okay. So we've got a little bit of a problem here, because in algebra the rule is whatever you do to one side,
You do to the other.
you do to the other. So step 3,
Add 9.
add that number to right of equal sign 2. So x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 4 plus 9. Excuse me. That.
Whoa, so now what, you can just stack it?
Uh-huh.
How does that work?
I don't care.
Thank you.
Half of 4 squared is
Okay,
4, right?
so once we get to this point, we can do something really, really nifty. We can make one parenthesis with a squared and a 13.
Oh, that's intense.
Oh, nice.
Square root of the first term, square root of the second term, a plus sign between them, and you're done with that part.
If they both weren't positive, you wouldn't be able to write the square.
Good question, Elias. Whatever sign is on that will be the sign on that.
Oh, yeah.
So if that was a minus, then
So, could you just like look at the original equation and go, if I add 13, then it'll be 9, and then solve it.
if I look at the original,
So it's
Equation.
-4, but you can like think to yourself, oh, I'll make this 9, and then you just add 13 to both sides.
why are you adding 9? Because you're just looking at the middle term and taking half and squaring it?
No, because you can look at this and -4 plus 13 equals 9. So if you look at it and you're like, oh, I want to get 9, then you just add 13.
We should pause it before we can use
Yeah.
those on the video.
Yeah, you can do that.
Well, I didn't even know we were recording.
Okay. So at this point, we still haven't found x. So how do I find x up here?
You have to move the square root to the other side or square to the other side by taking the square root of 13.
Okay, we're going to square root, square root.
And then you have to
Minus 3.
So now I have x
subtract
plus 3 equals plus or minus the square root.
13, and then subtract 3 and you have your answer.
Notice where I put that 3. I put it in front of the square root sign. That is the correct method, the correct format when you're doing these.
Is this another step?
Yeah, kind of is, isn't it? I kind of quit on my step. So add that sign to. Okay. So this right here would be
Step
the
4.
next step,
Step-
step 4.
No, step 4 would be factor.
Yeah, which means
And then
That's just
5.
square root of that, square root of that sign down here.
And then number 6 would be add the leftover term on the left side.
All right, so there's the problem. What's the first thing we do?
Okay, put it to the other side.
Right.
And then leave the gap. Take half of it, double it, you get 4.
Take half of 4x, double it,
Oh, when I switched.
add it to the other side.
Then you get
So we get x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 6.
and then you take the square and factor it.
Okay. Factors.
X plus 2 x squared equals 6. Move the square root to the other side. Square root 5. What do you wait? What?
You did
I was like, oh, I didn't do it right.
Okay.
And then you
There you go, people back home.
yeah, the square's gone.
Oops. Yeah, these just goes away. But, you know, it just wouldn't be fun if I didn't screw it up somewhere along the line.
And then you got negative.
You moved it to-
two, and then,
yeah.
there you go. Wait, how do you make 6?
Circle that.
No, I changed it over. I can add 4.
Okay, there we go.
I know what
So, Madison asked a interesting question earlier. Okay, x squared equals 5x minus 5.
2.5, right? Is that what it's gonna end up?
I wasn't done.
So,
Oh, wait.
what are we going to do with that thing?
Move the 5x. The 5x.
Yeah.
Ben?
Move that
over.
Move what over?
5x minus 5.
Don't
Okay.
forget to put a hole though. You have to add the way over. right?
Okay, we'll leave a hole there.
That's a big enough hole, I think.
Okay, so we move the 5x over. We need all the x's on one side. And the next step is what, Seth?
Well, you have to take half of 5x, which is,
Okay, before you answer that question, Seth,
That's a negative.
what did I say? If you ever want to find half of a number, what do you do?
Put it over 2. Yeah. Put it over 2.
Thank you, Ben. Double the denominator. That's why I told you that. Kind of giving you a little heads up for what we're going to be doing. Double the denominator. The denominator is what? 1. Okay, so Erica, Rochelle, Kelsey, were you the only 3 gone in volleyball?
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever you want to take half of a fraction, if you want to take half of that, you double the denominator.
Okay, so
Okay.
you just pick -5 over.
So if it's 5 right here, 5 over 1, if you double that, you get 5 over 2. Okay? So half of that is 5 halves, and then I square it. What is 5 halves squared? 25 over 4. Don't forget to double the denominator as well. Something very important for you to remember. That will always, without doubt, be a positive number. Only. Because you're squaring it. Anytime you square a number, you will always get a positive. Okay? So you never have to worry, is this positive or negative? It's always positive. Okay. So I'm going to make 2 binomial, or parentheses with a 2, a -5 there. Take the square root of that. What's the square root of 25 over 4?
5 over 2.
Okay. Or you can either say, what is the square root of that, or what is half of that? Same thing.
Oh.
You
Kendra?
never
never added
moved
5.
25 over 4 to
Oh.
the other side.
Thank you.
Make it
That
20 over
becomes
4.
5 points.
Yeah, so it's 5.
Okay, we're just going to leave that alone for a minute. So, half of 5 or the square root of 25 over 4. It's going to be the same thing. 5 over 2. What sign?
Plus
A
negative.
negative, because we take that sign. So x minus 5 halves, quantity squared, equals negative 20 over 4 plus 25 over 4, because I changed this -5 to a negative 20 over 4. Gives me an x minus 5 halves equals 5 over 4. Now what?
Now you square root them both together.
Don't forget your plus or minus. So x minus 5 halves equals plus or minus square root of 5 over 4. Now what? X equals 5 over 2 plus or minus square root of 5 over 4. I'm done, right?
Yep.
No.
Word!
Oh, we have to check the radical in the denominator.
I don't want a radical in the denominator. Thank you, Adam.
want to do this.
All you got to do, Elias, is tell me what the square root of 4 is.
2.
Oh,
Thanks, Elias.
Okay. Not
Oh, got it.
Not too terribly bad. 5 halves plus or minus the square root of 5 over 2. Can you combine those? They have common denominators.
No.
No, you can't, because you can't add a number with a radical. Well, even though they're both numbers.
What?
Is that gonna happen?
Could you not make it like?
What, this? Yes.
Why? Could you not make it like 5 square root 5 over 2? That's so bad.
Say that again?
No, don't say that.
Never mind. Something. They said not to say.